Okay, well, hey there. Let's talk about second grade math manipulatives and what ones are going to come in your kit, which ones may you have to provide outside of your kits. I'm going to give you a little bit of insight to all of the above. So, there are a couple of different kits that you're going to find in Math Expressions. One is called a custom manipulative kit. The custom manipulative kit are the student materials that are unique to Math Expressions that most schools buy because they feel like they already have some of the basic math manipulatives, maybe from other programs. Base 10 blocks, play money, any of those generic type of tools are probably already a part of your school library. So they may have only bought you the custom kit. Now, if you buy the full kit, you're going to get all of those things, all of the base 10 blocks, all of the jazz. You can look in the back of your teacher's edition in the teacher index area, and it's going to say materials and manipulatives. It's going to list everything that you might decide that you need in terms of manipulatives, and it'll tell you in which unit those would be suggested. So the custom manipulative kit is probably the most common kit. Then you have the teacher modeling kit. And the teacher modeling kit is a demonstration box that has all of your posters and demonstration size materials, everything that really the teacher is going to need in presenting Math Expressions. That will come in the teacher modeling kit. So let's take a look at some of those tools and what you might find and how you might store them. So the first thing in your teacher modeling kit are these 120 posters. You get two. One of them comes from 1 to 120 and one of them is from 120 to 240. Both of them need to be displayed, specifically the 1 to 120, but I highly recommend you displaying both of them. I know they're large. I know they take up a lot of room, but it's like displaying alphabet cards. You would never take those down for your readers. Even though you have second graders, they're still working on sounds, on letter formation, on remembering what that letter says and what it sounds like. Those are staples in your primary classroom, just as much as these number charts. Kids are constantly looking at charts to decide like how big that number is, how to write that number. Do I write it with the 2 first or the 2 second? I can't quite remember. How big is the number? How small is the number? Okay, all of those things are going to help students and they have to anchor to a chart to figure that out. So the 120 to 240 poster, even if you're using digital tools like iTools, Active Panel, Smartboards to eliminate a 120 chart during lessons that require it, you still want a physical one somewhere in your classroom that is easily accessible to students. You will practice counting all the way to 1,000. Your charts go to 240 because that's the pattern work that is done up until then. Now, the other part, our posters you're going to have is this one here is a time poster. Now, you're not going to teach time until later in the year. You're going to teach it in, I think it's Unit 3 that you introduce time and measurement. And so you can use the time poster if you'd like. You write on it with an expo marker. They can write the analog time and the digital time. That gets turned into a quick practice where students will rehearse telling time over and over again. And oftentimes teachers will use a poster to do that. You might have other clocks in your room that you choose to use. Students will make individual paper clocks that they will use. And then if you're using our quick practice slides and daily routine slides, you'll see that we already have the clocks on those slides for you. So when you start to use them in digital formats for your daily routines and quick practices, you just go to the next slide and the clock is already there, made with the new time, so on and so forth. But if you want, you also have a poster here. Now, in addition to those posters, you're going to see that you have some other demonstration materials like the sticky board. So the sticky board is a demonstration board that comes flat. It's like a large piece of cardboard that looks very unassuming. A lot of people are like, I don't even know what this is. But if you open up the back of it, it has an easel that pops out. And then the front of it has pages and pages of sticky pages. So it's like a piece of cardstock and it's covered with a plastic sheet. If you peel the plastic sheet back, it is a very sticky surface. So you can use that to put your manipulatives on, your play money, your 10 frames, whatever you're using as you're doing a small group or you have your kids up on the carpet with you. It just is a place to hold those manipulatives. Now, don't pull that plastic sleeve all the way off. Just bend it back around the board because if you take it all the way off, number one, it's hard to get back on. And number two, the board is like really sticky. So it's going to attract all the lint and dirt from your classroom. So I use it, I peel it off to use it. Then when I'm done using it, I put it right back over the top of that board to salvage those pieces. You have several sheets, but really I try to use one sheet at least for a whole year because it's not consumable. You don't get more of them and you want it to last the life of your adoption. That is the case for all of these demonstration tools. Your 120 poster, your clock poster, all of those do not get replenished every year. Now, You also have a large set of secret code cards. We call them the demonstration set. There's going to be another page in your material workbook that we're giving you that's going to tell you about how to store those, how you might organize them. But those are used throughout the school year. You're going to use them frequently in your daily routines and quick practices, and in all of your number operation units. You really need to have these. So you have a teacher demonstration set, and then you also have student sets. They come as individuals or a full sheet, depending on what kind of kit you get, either full sheet or they'll already be broken apart for you in little baggies. And you're going to create class sets out of those. Now, kids also have the same exact manipulatives in their workbook. So most of these that you see on this page can be found in a student workbook, where students will just cut out their page pieces, like the strategy cards, the secret code cards. That's because if schools did not have the funding to buy full manipulative kits, Dr. Fusen wanted them to have at least access to the paper version. So some teachers are like, I just want my kids to have access to the paper version. They're going to have them cut up. That's what's stored in their desks. And they keep the nice, clean cardstock laminated copies in like a small group station, or when they're running a whole group activity using those manipulatives. In your custom manipulative kit, you're also going to have these purple and orange square inch tiles. They are made from foam. You have a whole set of them that are really not used or called for in your lessons until you get to lessons or unit 7. So it's the very end of your unit. You use them for equal groups and arrays as you're working on equal shares, but you might use them through other parts of your unit, especially in unit 1 when we're working on making a 10. If you're using any things like 10 frames or just manipulatives in general, then you would have your purple and orange square tiles. Now that builds on your 10 strip. The 10 strip has 10 pennies on the front and has a picture of a dime on the back. They come in the student workbook, and students make these. It's kind of like a make and take. They make them during unit 1 as we're learning a make 10 strategy. I like to cut them out, paste them onto cardstock, run them through the laminator. So one side is pennies, one side is the dime strip. And then I get a long basket from the dollar store, and I keep all of those penny strips in that basket. It's just so much easier, so I don't have to have kids cutting out every year. I just keep that set for me, and then I use that year in and year out. Now, everything you do in math expressions in 2nd grade, you're going to do with whole numbers, but much of it, you'll see that we also connect then to a money representation. So we're helping kids to make 10. So we might take this penny strip, we might cover up 2 of them and say, I want you to add up 8 plus 6. So I have 8 because I've covered up 2 of the pennies. Then I have 6 extra pennies. And we'll say, well, how many more pennies do you need to add to get to the 10? And they can see there's a spot for 2 more pennies. They'll put 2 more pennies on that 10 strip. They'll see that they have 4 left, and they know they have 10 and 4 makes 14. So they not only do it numerically, they do it with Math Mountains, they do it with 10 frames if you choose, and then they do it using like connection to money, like this 10 strip. Okay, so you'll use those. Now, Puzzle Penguin is the mascot of math expressions. He comes in the back of your teacher's edition for kindergarten, 1st, and 2nd grade. It's a poster that you tear out, and you can make a Puzzle Penguin puppet. Puzzle Penguin shows up in every unit at every grade level, and he makes the errors that are most common across that particular grade of students. This is the old Puzzle Penguin. He's nice and cute. I think he looks very friendly. The newer Puzzle Penguin is what you see on my screen from the 2018 copyright. I have both that you can reprint, because oftentimes the first person that gets that teacher's guide tears him out, makes their puppet, and now he disappears, and you no longer have that page. So if you go to empowerlearngrow.com, log in, you're going to go to resources, math expressions resources, and you will find copies of my friend Puzzle Penguin in both versions that you can print out. I put 2 on a stick back to back, and I put them on my ruler. You can make yours however you want, but he will become a puppet that you do in unit 1 and that you use him throughout the school year. 2 rulers. There are 2 different rulers that come in your kit. They are not, as you can see, fractionally marked. That is on purpose. We really don't want kids to use their rulers from like Walmart. These are an inch ruler and a centimeter ruler to the nearest inch and centimeter. Students for the first time are learning to measure with a ruler, and for the first time they're really working with number lines. It is a very abstract concept, and it's very difficult for 2nd graders to learn to count lengths and not tick marks. So using a ruler that has other fractional pieces just complicates life. It's a skill they have not learned yet, and we do not want to introduce it too soon. So use these 2 rulers during your measurement unit in unit 3, And then you also have a paper version in their books and in your teacher resource book that can be used for color coding and circling the links. I would use those way before I would use anything that you can buy from one of your stores. So then you have strategy cards. You have Math Mountain cards. You have green, purple, and blue make 10 cards. Whether you're making 10 over the teen number, you're making 10 to subtract with teen numbers, or you're just making sums of 10, you will use these strategy cards. Notice that there's a little corner that can be perforated and torn off. That's because all the cards can be put in a stack. And if you put them all in a stack, you'll see if they're not all facing the right direction and the right orientation, you're going to have those cut off corners in different places in your stack. So the cut off corners make it really easy to get cards all turned and in the correct place. So they're all right side up and forward facing. You have Math Mountain cards that are yellow and you have Math Mountain cards that are blue. They're introduced at various times in Unit 1. They're helping students to learn those fact families, those math facts. They start with like +1, +2. They gradually get to +3. Your doubles, they go up in difficulty as you cut them out and use them from student workbooks. So there's paper version, or you have the perforated card you'll tear apart in your teacher kit as well. Keep these together. Look at our page in your material management workbook that we're giving you access to find out more tips about how I store the strategy cards, what their purpose is, and how you might use them with your student. In addition to all of this, you also have a Dive the Deep page. Now, I have it on your list of materials because it's used that often. So it is a part of activity that you're going to do in Unit 1. It's a page in their workbook. You can also print a new one from the teacher resource book. But I suggest tearing it out, putting it in a plastic sleeve, laminating it, just making it more durable, because they will use that page often in several different units as they work on fact mastery. So it's a self-reporting feedback system where students learn to cover up the answer. They say the equation to themselves, they say the answer, they reveal what the answer is, and they get immediate feedback. That's different than doing something like a time test or where you're just having kids fill in the answers, because there's no immediate feedback. So that was really important to Dr. Fusen, that the feedback loop is immediate. The kids don't do an entire page of math facts and they've been practicing a fact wrong for the entire page before they're ever told that it was wrong. So that's why you have a Dive the Deep page. And then again, it's used multiple times. So you want to make sure you take care of it and have it in a place or a sturdy format. You have here all of your shapes. You have a 2D and a 3D shape. That's what the same as that is in kindergarten and in first grade. They only come in sets of 10. So you really only have sets for 10 students to individually work in a set at the same time, or 20 students if they're pairing up. So as you're working in your geometry units, you may decide to offset with your other teammates or go borrow the kindergarten and first grade sets. So you have enough to run an entire class of shape manipulatives. These manipulatives are different than what you might be used to. One, they're made of foam, so they have to be well taken care of. And number two, they have some very specific shapes, specifically in the 2D, in terms of right triangles, equilateral triangles, halves, quarters, circles, things that you just don't see in normal tangram sets. So you definitely want to use this set as you're teaching geometry. You can combine it with your additional tangrams and pattern blocks, but you really do want to use these as well. Now, last but not least, in the lower corner of this page, you can see that we have base 10 blocks as additional manipulatives, and I would say play money. Those don't come in the custom manipulative kit, but you're going to use both as you work on number and operations. And then again, everything is always related back to that money work as they do problem solving in various units and learn about the various coins. So you may also want to get a hold of those tools and have them ready or in sets for students. So they're going to use them to ungroup 10s and 1s as you're getting regroup and ungroup in Unit 2 and 3 for 2-digit numbers. And then as you get into Unit 6, you're going to go into 3-digit numbers. So you don't have to have the hundreds blocks yet until you get to Unit 3, except for you will ungroup just 100 one time in your early units of Unit 2 and 3. So take that into account as you're 2 and 4, I should say. Take that into account as you're preparing your student manipulative kits. If you have questions about any of these materials, let me know. Good luck in getting your room organized.